other side.
I'm Marcus, a 34-year-old software engineer living in San Diego, where the ocean breeze carries the promise of possibility. My life, until recently, was a symphony of code, coffee, and the occasional escape to the beach to watch the waves crash at La Jolla shores. My apartment, a sleek high-rise overlooking the Pacific, was my command center servers humming in the corner, monitors glowing with lines of Python and C++, and the faint scent of eucalyptus from a diffuser my wife, Eliza, insisted made the place feel alive. I'd spent a decade at Nexlify, a tech firm revolutionizing cloud infrastructure, climbing from junior developer to a senior role that had me leading projects for Fortune 500 clients. Last week, I got the call that changed everything, a promotion to senior architect at our headquarters in Seattle. It came with a corner office, a six-figure bonus, and the chance to spearhead an AI-driven cloud platform that could redefine the industry. The news hit like a wave, exhilarating and overwhelming. Seattle meant a new start, but it also meant leaving behind the life Eliza and I had built. We'd been married 3 years, and while our love was real, it had frayed at the edges lately. My late nights debugging code, her freelance graphic design gigs that kept her glued to her tablet somehow, we'd become ships passing in the night. I wanted to fix that before we packed up and moved. So I suggested a getaway to Arizona, a place we'd always talked about visiting. A week in the desert, just the two of us, to rediscover the spark that had drawn us together. Eliza's eyes lit up when I pitched it, her auburn hair catching the light as she nodded. "Let's do it," she said, her smile warm enough to make me believe we could hit reset. We booked a suite at Desert Mirage, a luxury resort nestled in the Red Rock Canyons outside Sedona. The website promised starlit skies, infinity pools, and a kind of serenity that felt like a balm for our tired souls. We arrived on a Friday, the air warm and dry, the horizon painted in hues of crimson and gold. Eliza looked radiant in a white sundress, her laughter echoing as we checked in. Our suite was a dream floor-to-ceiling windows, a private balcony, and a bed that seemed to promise endless mornings tangled in each other's arms. That night, we sat under a blanket of stars, sipping mezcal and talking about Seattle. We imagined cozy coffee shops, rainy hikes in the Cascades, a new chapter where we'd make time for each other. For the first time in months, I felt like we were us again. I woke at 2:37 a.m. to an empty bed. The sheets on Eliza's side were cool, her pillow barely touched. The room was dark, save for the faint moonlight filtering through the sliding glass door. I called out, my voice rough with sleep, but the silence answered back. Her phone was on the nightstand, next to her wallet and ID, the same ones she'd flashed at check-in. My heart started to race. Eliza had a habit of sneaking off for late night. Snacks ice cream was her weakness, but something felt wrong. The air was too still, the quiet too heavy. I checked the bathroom, the balcony, even the closet, my pulse quickening with each empty space. I threw on a hoodie and ran to the front desk, where a clerk with tired eyes told me she'd seen Eliza leave around 2 a.m. with a man in a dark jacket. "They got into a black SUV," she said, shrugging. "Looked like they knew each other." My stomach twisted. Eliza hadn't mentioned meeting anyone, and we didn't know a soul in Arizona. Who was this man, and why would she leave without a word? I called the Sedona police, my hands shaking as I dialed. The officer on the line was polite but unyielding. "She's an adult, Mr. Carter. We can't file a missing person report until 48 hours have passed. She might just be out with a friend." A friend? In the middle of the desert? At 2 a.m.? I hung up, frustration boiling over. I wasn't going to sit around waiting for bureaucracy to catch up. Eliza was out there, and I needed to find her. Back in the suite, I tore through Eliza's things, desperate for any hint of where she'd gone. Her suitcase was neatly packed, her toiletries lined up on the bathroom counter, everything as she'd left it. Then, in the pocket of her denim jacket, I found it. A one-way plane ticket to Boston, dated for the following week. Boston? She'd never mentioned Boston, not once in our 3 years together. She'd told me she grew up in Chicago, that her family was scattered across the Midwest. Boston was a void, a place that didn't exist in the story of us. I sat on the edge of the bed, the ticket trembling in my hand. Why would she hide this? What was in Boston? I called her sister, Claire, in Denver, not caring that it was 4 a.m. She picked up, her voice groggy. "Marcus, what's wrong?" I spilled everything: the midnight call, the man in the SUV, the ticket. There was a long pause, the kind that makes your skin crawl. "She never told you about Boston?" Claire said finally. "She lived there for years before she met you. She had a whole life there." My mind reeled. A whole life? What else didn't I know? Claire hesitated, then dropped a bomb. "She was married before, Marcus, to a guy named Daniel. They never got divorced, not legally." The words hit like a freight train. Eliza, my wife, was still married to someone else? I pressed Claire for details, but she didn't know much, just that Daniel had been in an accident, and Eliza had left him shortly after. "She didn't like talking about it," Claire said. "I thought she'd told you." I couldn't stay in Arizona, pacing the resort like a caged animal. I booked a flight to Boston that morning, leaving Eliza's things in the room in case she returned. The plane ride was a blur, my mind racing with questions. Who was Daniel? Why had Eliza hidden him from me? And what was she doing in Arizona with a stranger in the middle of the night? I rented a car at Logan Airport and drove to the address Claire had given me, a cabin in the woods outside the city, tucked away in a forgotten corner of Massachusetts. The cabin was a wreck, the paint peeling, the yard a tangle of weeds and broken branches. I knocked, and a man in a wheelchair answered, his face gaunt, his eyes sharp despite the fatigue etched into them. "You must be Marcus," he said before I could speak. "She mentioned you might show up one day." His name was Daniel, and he invited me in. His voice calm but heavy with something unspoken. Over coffee, he told me their story. They'd met in college, married young, and built a life together in Boston. They were happy, he said, until a car accident left him paralyzed from the waist down. Eliza stayed for a while, promising she'd never leave him, but one day she was gone, along with their entire savings, $300,000. She said she'd come back, he said, staring at a faded photo of her on the mantel. I believed her. Stupid. Huh. I showed him a recent picture of Eliza, hoping for some reaction, but he just nodded. That's her. Same smile, same lies. The word lies stuck with me. Was everything about our marriage a lie? The late nights she claimed were for work, the trips she took to visit family, the way she'd dodge questions about her past. Had it all been a performance? I drove back to Boston, my mind churning. I couldn't shake the feeling that Eliza's disappearance wasn't random. In my hotel room, I hired a private investigator named Rachel Torres, a no-nonsense woman with a reputation for digging up secrets others couldn't find. She worked fast, and within 48 hours, she had a file on Eliza, or rather, on the women she'd been. Sarah Bennett in Miami, Lauren Hayes in Chicago, Emily Stone in Denver. 3 aliases, 3 cities, 3 men, all wealthy, all left with empty bank accounts and broken hearts. Eliza Carter, my wife, was a fiction, a carefully crafted persona, designed to exploit. Rachel's digging uncovered something bigger, a network of women operating across the country, targeting men with money, charm, and meticulously constructed identities. They'd seduce, marry, or partner with their marks, drain their accounts, and vanish, leaving no trace. Eliza was one of their best, Rachel said. She's a ghost. No real name, no fixed address. She's been doing this for at least a decade. The revelation hit me like a punch to the gut. The woman I'd loved, shared my bed with, had played me from the start. I wasn't just a husband. I was a mark. But I wasn't going to let her win. I'd built systems to track data flows, predict user behavior, catch hackers before they struck. If anyone could find her, it was me. I decided to set a trap, using what I knew best, tech. I spread word through industry channels that I was investing $10 million in a new cryptocurrency project, something blockchain-based with buzzwords like decentralized yield farming to draw attention. I made sure the rumor reached the right corners of the internet, including X, where I knew Eliza, or whatever she was calling herself, liked to lurk. I posted cryptic updates about disruptive investments and game-changing tech. Knowing she'd take the bait, it didn't take long. A week later, I got an email from Nina, a supposed crypto enthusiast, asking detailed questions about my investment. The language was polished, the questions sharp, but I recognized her style, the same careful phrasing she used in texts, the same way she'd sign off with a single X. I ran the email through a custom script I'd written to trace IP addresses, masking my own activity to avoid detection. The source led to a VPN, but I cracked through it, pinpointing a location, a cabin near the Canadian border in Washington state. I contacted Rachel, who coordinated with local police. We drove to the cabin, a remote shack buried in pine trees, the air thick with the scent of damp earth. My heart pounded as we approached, expecting to find Eliza, ready to confront her. But the cabin was empty. No furniture, no clothes, just a burner phone on the floor, looping a recorded message in her voice. "See you again, love." I checked my bank account empty. She'd hacked in, siphoned $1.2 million while I was chasing our ghost. The police found no fingerprints, no clues, just the phone and her taunting message. Eliza was gone, again, and I was left with nothing but questions. Had she been in Arizona to meet another mark? Was Nina even her, or just another layer of the scam? I'd never know. I couldn't let her win completely. Back in San Diego, I started a blog, The Last Message, pouring out every detail of our marriage, her betrayal, and the chase. I wrote about the Arizona resort, the Boston cabin, the fake identities, the women like her who preyed on trust. I didn't expect much, just a way to process the pain, but the post went viral. Thousands shared it, then millions. Men came forward with similar stories, women too, all victims of the same network. My blog became a rallying cry, a warning to others. Trust, but verify. I'm in Seattle now, settled into my new role at Nexlify. The corner office is nice, the view of Puget Sound a daily reminder that life goes on. I don't know where Eliza is, and I've stopped looking. My blog still gets comments, tips, and stories from strangers, some claiming to have seen her in Miami, London, or Tokyo. Maybe they're right, maybe not. She's a ghost, after all. I've learned to live with the unanswered questions. I've also learned that love, like code, can have bugs, flaws you don't see until it's too late. But I'm rebuilding, line by line, day by day. And if Eliza's out there reading this, I hope she knows. I'm not the man she left in Arizona. I'm stronger, wiser, and I'll never fall for a ghost again.